Our old landlord here in the Dominican Republic just told us we're not entitled to get our deposit back, which is not only wrong, but illegal. And we're working through it. Gosh darn it. And you wanna know what? This is the second landlord who's told us this. Today, I'm gonna share 5 massive frustrations about life in the Dominican Republic, but also how we've learned to manage each of them as we go. Let's dive in. Number 1 is what I've already shared. Landlords believe that security deposits are like theirs, that they're not owed back, that they're completely entitled to keep them. And to be honest with you, even more than that, landlords here can often deny any wrongdoing in terms of maintenance needs that you have on your property. Here's a for instance. Before we bought the house we're in now, we rented 2 prior houses. And on the last house, we were having trouble opening and shutting drawers in the kitchen. When we took a look at them, the tracks were all just sort of rusted out. Humidity. It's the Caribbean. And it was a little bit of an older kitchen. When presented to the landlord, it's like, well, hey, it was working when you moved in, so. And we got that also when a trap under a sink just fell apart days after we moved in without even touching it. It was just cobbed together and, well, it gave when it gave and not their problem. But back to the deposit. The law in the Dominican Republic says that a landlord is entitled to a deposit of up to 2 months' rent. So if you're paying $2,000 a month, they can take a $4,000 deposit. And like in the United States, that deposit is refunded back to the tenant, less any damage beyond normal and reasonable wear and tear, or any other expenses you owe to the landlord. Like maybe they included the Wi-Fi and you need to pay them back for that, so they deduct that from the deposit when you move out. Normal. And again, the laws are clear here in DR that's the process. The law in DR even says that the landlord is supposed to keep that deposit in a separate account, just like in the United States. But when it comes time to give that deposit back to you, wow. Yeah. The first time, I'll never forget, we were in the house and we were paying $4,000 a month for this house. Fully furnished, beautiful home in a premier neighborhood. We paid when we moved in 2 months down, $8,000 plus the first month's rent, 12 grand to move in. And I happened to be at the house the day that we moved out of it, at the moment that the landlords came over to do a walkthrough. This is not a joke. The landlord came in, he walked straight over to the TV stand, he pulled out the drawer, he flipped it over and pointed out that the tracks on that drawer, I don't know what's up with drawers in this country. Anyway, the tracks on that drawer were loose and not working right. Dude hasn't been in the house. We haven't seen him. And he certainly doesn't come in the house and open the drawers. I don't even know if we had anything in it. We maybe had some like kids' toys or whatever in that drawer. And then it was all this theater about everything. For instance, my wife and I took care of the couches, the couch cushions. We took off the cushion top, the thing that you sit on, whatever, took the stuff out of the middle and put the thing in the washer. We've done it before. When you first put that back together, it's like a little shrunk. And then as you sit on it, it kind of spreads back out. Well, for him, that was like, oh, I gotta buy a whole new couch. This thing is a mess. Oh my God. Such theatrics. But that's what he did in an effort to keep the deposit and not have to pay it back to us. This landlord just said, no, I don't owe it back to you. And until we pushed back a little bit, which we're in the process of now, did she even think, say, oh, okay, well, let me go back and look through it and let me let you know. In the end, we're not talking about major dollars in either case because we did a couple of things. Number 1, when you move in someplace, the second you do, if you have a landlord, film everything. Open everything, grab everything, turn water on, flush toilets, check piping, check electric. You see any damage in that home, little small cracks, divots, whatever, you film it. That film on your phone has metadata, so it's proof this happened the day or this was there before I moved in. We did that. So it's clear and irrefutable that there was no damage when we moved out. Second, we pre-negotiated toward the end a portion of the deposit to be applied in the first house anyway, toward the rent. We paid $8,000 and we said, well, why don't we not pay you for the final month and just take that out of the deposit? They agreed. And you can do that. You can even maybe withhold the final payment until you have an agreement on the deposit. You're moving out anyway. Why not? And third, have a good lawyer. I went to mine. He's got a letter that he's drafted that we might be able to use and send over to the landlord if she does not comply with what we're looking for, which is like, look, show us if there's something you can prove reasonably that had damage. If not, we get our deposit back. That's even more mind-blowing. We actually paid somebody to come in and paint because we hung things on the wall. So we repaired the holes and painted. Like I said, we paid for those tracks to make the drawers all work beautifully. We paid for plumbing, all of that. So blows my mind. The deal is this. The legality, the protections are there. The enforceability is what's difficult. The lawyer helps, but even with a lawyer, depends on the attitude of the landlord. It's going to be up to you how much time, energy, and money do you want to spend in order to get your deposit back. Probably all depends on the deposit. Now, on the second rental, we negotiated to 1 month. 1 month's deposit so that we could limit this issue. Now, here's where my wife and I get into a little bit of a debate. She's principal. It's not worth my time. I was going to say practical, but that probably comes out the wrong way. Principle is good. I mean, you need that. Obviously, we all need principles. But let me explain the practical part, right? Drawers, tracks to replace, it's like $30 with labor. The trap under the sink, like $20 with labor. For me, there's a point at which it's like I can make much more than that in an hour, even in 10 minutes if I wanted to, with effort, not worrying about this. We all have a certain number of decisions in a day guy. I wear black shirts for that reason all the time. One less decision in the morning. My hair is shaved. I have hair, damn it. I choose to shave it. I eat the same things every day. I love the cleaning lady. To me is like a force multiplier for efficiency in my world. So 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 decisions. I get the principle. I do, but yeah. In fact, I think the people that really do well down here have the mindset of like, whatever, no biggie. It's $20. I'll move on. So the irony is my wife is Dominican and she's the one that gets riled up on, but it's wrong. I'm not the Dominican, but kind of act Dominican in that regard, if that makes sense. That's why I love it so much here. I don't know. But landlords. Number one frustration, which leads me to number 2. Rules exist, enforcement varies. Going right back to what I just talked about. Every law that you can think of exists here. If you've ever driven in a traffic circle in the Dominican Republic, it's like, how do they come up with the way that they're doing this right now? It's mind-blowing. Who's supposed to have the right of way and yada, yada, yada. But if you look at traffic law, it's the same as in the States. If you're in the circle, you have the right of way. If you're entering the circle, you need to yield. But the reality is chaos. On a grander scale, you see this with, being able to pay off a police officer if you get pulled over, or even worse, Border Patrol agents that you hear allegedly get paid to allow people back into the country. Allegedly, the laws are there. They're written. We don't need new laws in many cases down here, but you need enforcement of those laws. Again, this is where an attorney is worth their weight in gold to you. I've said this before. One of the key relationships you need in DR is an attorney. It's a small country. You don't need them even to be regional or local to you. They just have to be reputable and good with knowledge of DR law. Some are highly specialized. Some are more generalists, but having my attorney write a letter with the language that we need is going to increase our chances of winning in this regard than if we didn't. If you're buying real estate, having an attorney to review whether the land is owned, if the contract looks good, if there's provisions in there that are abusive. Too many people don't do that. They don't pay for the attorney because they're shocked at how much the attorney might be. Look, you buy a house worth $200,000. Your attorney's probably going to charge you 1.5% of the value of that home as their fee. So that's $2,000 to $3,000 you're going to pay. A lot of people believe that that is an overcharge, but that's just the going rate for a good attorney. Attorneys are also not as subject to like the bar here as they are in, say, the United States. So you have to make sure you got a good one. But just trust me on this. Have a relationship with a really good attorney. Even if it's not a specialty that you need right now, they know the person that is reputable that can help you. Anybody I use, I'm happy to refer. You can go down in the description or just go to jamiegruber.com/referrals and you can see all the people that I refer. Keep in mind, if I refer you to them and you use them, they will pay me a fee. I always want to be transparent with that. But I also say, don't ever feel obligated to use them. They work for me. So I share them. If they don't work for you, you just don't get a good read, move on, find another one. There are plenty more. All right. Number 3, the reality of shipping costs. In the DR Inner Circle, which is my membership community, there was this whole discussion about somebody saying, hey, I need my iPhone replaced and my daughter is going to ship it down here for me. And thankfully, the Inner Circle jumped in and said, yo, don't do that. And here's why. Anything with a value over $200 that is shipped into the country is going to be charged exorbitant taxes and shipping fees to the tune of maybe up to 50% of the value of the item being shipped. So for a $1,000 iPhone to be shipped in, this guy could have spent $1,500 by the time it was done, buying the iPhone in the US and then paying $500 in shipping and taxes, and also having aduana, the customs group here, hold that iPhone while all that gets worked out. We had this experience with a stupid PS5. So dumb. We knew better. But we ordered it from the States. It was $300 for Christmas last year for the kids is like our big gift for them. I think it was $300, maybe it was $400, whatever the heck it was. And in the end, we ended up paying like another $200 to the Dominican Republic for shipping, for import taxes, for everything. So we literally paid like half of the value of this thing just to get it in here. Don't ask me why. Just blonde moment, even though I'm not a blonde, nor is my wife. Dumb. With this person, a few of us said, hey, I'm going to be in the U.S. if you want to ship it to me in Miami, in Boston, in New York, where I am. I'm coming down, like, I'll be in the U.S. and back. So some local Inner Circle members offered to, while they were in the U.S., get it shipped to them and bring it back down so that this guy didn't need to pay those import taxes. That dude was happy he paid $9 a month. JamieGruber.com if you want to check us out. Join the Inner Circle. It's an amazing crew. Whether you live there or here, it's not a fan club. It's a real community. One last thing on this. If you have combined items in one package and its total value is over $200, you might be charged for all this stuff for that as well. So if you have to ship something in over $200, do it separately. Or mule it in like many of us do. But in the end, you wonder why somebody would pay the price of an iPhone down here, which is a little bit more than it is up there, or why somebody might buy furniture here versus buying it there and shipping it. That's why. Even though it might be more expensive, it's still less than the cost of the shipping. Number 4 frustrating thing here is online shopping. I can't tell you how many people have had the experience of shopping online for something, buying it online because it's on the online store's inventory, only to learn later that it's not available. They don't even have it in stock and they don't plan to have it in stock. Or perhaps the price that they charge is not the right price per whatever the heck they think they should charge. My wife had this experience with like a little table thing that she ordered. It wasn't too crazy expensive, but still, what a pain. So you just need to know what stores actually fulfill online orders appropriately. One I've had luck with is for some of this camera equipment called Enfoque Digital. They've done well for me. Doesn't mean they will for you. I'm not saying like I had no endorsement with them, but I'm just telling you that's one that's done well for me. But generally speaking, you want to interact, know if they have it in stock, and buy it when you see it and have it in hand. DR is a place where you need to ask a question you didn't know you were supposed to ask. So when you go to a store and they have an item, double, triple check before you pay for it that it's actually in stock. Sounds crazy, but just trust me. Because otherwise, you're going to succumb to the number 5 frustrating thing about life in DR. And that is this: stores don't do refunds. I recently went to a store called Unidos to buy a light. $25, nothing big. But before I left the store, they unpacked the light, they put it into a test thing and showed me that the light is working. Why? You ain't bringing this light back here. We know it's working. And even if it didn't work, or even if I needed to bring it back because I just didn't need it, oh, my bad, I didn't need this anymore, you won't get your money back. The best you'll get is a store credit. So if you're going to buy something someplace that you're likely never to go back to again, that has any value, $10, whatever, right? You just write it off. But $100, $2, $3, $5, $1,000, whatever it might be, you go buy that thing, they don't have it in stock, or the one they do doesn't quite fit, or once you get it home, you realize it's a mismatch for what you need, or there's not even the right technology in it for you to use it in your house, or whatever it might be. That $1,000 you got credit at a store you'll probably never use again. Nothing is 100%. You're always going to find some places that might actually give a refund, but you get my point. All right, so you might be sitting there wondering like,
why the hell would you live in a place like that with all of those frustrations and everything?
The answer is very simple. Everywhere anybody lives, there are things that are frustrating. Lack of a process or inefficiency is frustrating, but also over-processed or over-efficiency can also be frustrating. I can tell you how many times in the US I would talk to the cable company, the electric company, whatever it might be, and people can't make any decision because they have to follow this matrix. All they can do is express understanding. Highly efficient, equally frustrating. For all of these things that are frustrating, there's also a lot of negotiation here. There's also a lot of who do you know? And if you've got a really good network, there might be a way around some of the crap that you deal with. That's less so in the United States. You are a number and that's it. People ask me often, like, what are the best banks? And I say, look, there's a range of, they're all kind of the same and it's not the US, so expect a different experience no matter what. But I'll tell you what makes a banking experience really, really good if you've got a good relationship within that bank. When I walk into Scotiabank, the branch manager knows me, comes out and says hi to me. I don't have a problem there. When I walk into another bank that we have an account with, I have the number for the branch manager. I could text her if I have any issues and she takes care of me. This isn't exclusive to how much money you have or being an expat or whatever. The truth of the Dominican Republic is the more networked you are, the more value you offer to other people, the more interactions that you have, the more things open up for you. Whether you have an emergency, a frustration, a business need, or anything in between. Who you know matters. It used to matter when I was growing up. 80s, 90s, early 90s in the United States. Matters big time still here. And it's a feature of society that I really enjoy. Also consider the cost of your frustration is much less here. Labor's cheaper. It's like I talked about before. What would it be to call a plumber out to come to your house to replace the trap under your sink? $100, $200 for him just to walk in the door? Plus the part, plus. Here, $20, and I'm in Punta Cana. So I'm getting marked up just because you entered the peaje into the Punta Cana area. That's a lifestyle choice we made. We know where we live, so we know there's a premium placed by vendors on charging us. It happens. But I can tell you, we put tens of thousands of dollars into the renovation of our home that we just recently purchased. That would easily be $250,000 to $300,000 if we did the same things in the United States. You don't believe me? 4,000 square feet, painted the entire outside, including the roof. $1,000. If you've ever had your home painted and it's that size, you know how low that is. And yet, some people may say that's still too expensive for DR. Sure, get them in Punta Cana. In addition, there's this. Check this out. This is an everyday thing. Soccer, baseball, community, people getting together. Trust me, I know there's all of this stuff in the United States, but I think you can also trust me when I say that the social aspect of all of this here far exceeds the US. This isn't scheduled. This isn't transactional. My kids ride their bike to this. I just came to watch him because I felt like I'm going to watch him, and I'm staying in here because it's air conditioned and it's hot outside. Plus, I wanted to record this video, so just being efficient. But I could not understand how disconnected I was from the people around me in the United States until I came down here and got that true community vibe. I couldn't pick a better place to raise my family. And now that we're not renting anymore, hey, we don't have to worry about getting deposits back, huh? And every dollar we do spend repairing our home, it's back into our home. So right there, that takes care of like the first two frustrating things. Having said that, I do recommend you rent when you first come. If you don't know for sure what it is like to live in a certain community, feel it out, know the patterns, know where you are. Even if you end up living in the community that you rent in, maybe you realize, oh, well, where we live, like the traffic pattern or the noise or where the highway is, we'd rather live on the other side of this community than right where we are. So rent for a month or two for an Airbnb, that kind of thing, before you decide long-term where to rent or buy. Now, there are 9 other things that you need to know about life in DR, otherwise you won't make it past a year, and I shared those right here. Just tap that video, it'll take you to the next one, and I'll see you next time.